Hey, this is Ewan Blakey, and with Christy, my wife, we're the pastors of Oasis Church, and this is our podcast. I wanted to thank you for joining us today. I hope this inspires you. I hope it builds your faith. I hope it gives you perspective to see God is moving in your life. Enjoy the message.
It's the second week of Your Move Sunday, and it's all about your move. We're putting the ball in your court today. I'm going to be talking about serving and encouraging you to join a serving team a little bit later on. But I want to take a bit of a wider view and talk about our life with Jesus first, and how we can learn about how we set ourselves in our whole Christian life. We're not here in this place to develop consumer Christianity. Our faith's not passive, right? Our faith's not passive. Our Christianity is a real and it's a living faith. It's an active faith. It's a faith that can be seen in our lives as we partner with God to transform the world around us. The Bible calls it co-laboring. But there is an adversary who would seek to come against us, who seek to move the chess pieces against us, so to speak. And that's especially true, I think, with everything that we're seeing happening in the world right now. But we're not the kind of people who sit on our hands when we hear the opposition say, it's your move. That's not what we're like. We're the kind of people who rise in times of adversity. We're the kind of people who shine when it starts getting dark out there. That's who we are. As I said, there's a lot happening on the global stage right now, and it can bring up a lot of questions. Questions of safety, questions of truth, questions of what should we be doing in our lives? What should we be doing now? What should we be doing as a result of what we see happening all around us? Not least of these global events that can make us question things was the assassination recently of Charlie Kirk. And I think Charlie's death, it really highlights the contrast between a life filled with purpose and a wasted life. Charlie Kirk lived a life of purpose because he did what he was convicted by God to do with the skill set that he had in the best way that he knew possible. His faith and his works ran together. And for that, he paid the ultimate price. He paid the highest price that any human can pay. Charlie had courage. He had the courage to face those who vehemently at times disagreed with him. He had the courage to take a stand for what he believed. And I think part of why his death was such a great loss and was felt so much by so many of us was because in a lot of ways he did what maybe a lot of us have been or even are afraid to do, which is to speak up for what we believe, to take a stand for our faith in times of adversity, to be a witness for Jesus when the cards get thrown down. There's a cost. There's a big cost for standing for faith in our current cultural climate. How many of you know that? You might see it in your workplace. You might see it in your social circles. We can certainly see it on the news. There's a cost. And because of the fear of that cost, there's a risk that we become people of faith, but with nothing to show for it. There's a risk that in fear we sit on our hands. We don't have a faith that leads to action. We have a personal faith, but not an out there faith. We have a quiet faith, but not a confident faith. For me, the events, Charlie Kirk's tragic murder, a lot of the things that we see happening on the global stage right now, they cause me to ask questions of myself. Like, are my faith and my actions lining up? It's easy to stand for your faith in a positive, uplifting, empowering community. It's not so easy in your workplace sometimes. It's not so easy in your social circles sometimes. I've been asking myself, how much my life is filled with purpose and meaning and truly connected to what really, really matters? Or how much have I been sidelined in some ways by distractions, by things that are important but not truly my purpose? How much have the distractions and pressures of life diluted God's power that he wants to flow through me and he wants it to flow through you? If you're questioning right now with everything that's happening, if you kind of feel like maybe the ground's a bit shaky, maybe there's uncertainty, like, oh, what's going to happen with, I heard something about China the other day, like, what's going to happen there? Like, Donald Trump declared revival just about. What's going to happen there? Come on. It's a polarizing time. It's a full-on time. But if you feel like the ground's a bit shaky, if you're feeling the sense of uncertainty, globally or personally, I want to give you something today that's not just comforting, because it's great to be comforted, but I think, the Holy Spirit's our comforter, but we get the comforter for a reason. And there's a lot of our Christian life that it's going to make us uncomfortable. If we're really walking with Jesus, it's going to make us uncomfortable. And that's when we need the comforter. So I want to give you something that's not just comforting, but something you can actually hang your life on. Something that's actually solid ground. That's what I want to talk about today. And the easy answer, that solid place, is the life of Jesus Christ. It's his life. It's his nature. It's his presence. Jesus has an answer for what living a life of meaning looks like. In the Bible, he lays it out. He lays out the path to finding true life, but it's not an easy answer. In Philippians 2, 5-8, the Apostle Paul says this: in your relationships with one another, have the same mindset as Christ Jesus, who, being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness, and being found in appearance as a man. He humbled himself by becoming obedient to death, even death on a cross. Wow. Mark 10:45 says this: for even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. Jesus didn't merely tell us about the path to purpose. He didn't merely teach us about it and show it to us and say, this is what you should do. He showed us the way to true purpose through his life. He modeled it. He demonstrated it. He became the path to true life. Jesus' path to true life is humility and it's service. He's the King of heaven and earth, yet he took the form of a servant. That's so crazy. No other God does that. No other God who's held up in the religions around the world does that. He is the all-powerful God, yet he was obedient to sacrifice his own life. And that's the foundation of how we're to set our minds and live our lives here on earth. The only Christian lifestyle is a lifestyle of humility and of servanthood. It's the only way. It's the only path, the path of Jesus. Jesus calls us to this life in no uncertain terms in Matthew 16:24. Then Jesus told his disciples, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. The cross is Jesus' path. No one in the ancient world could have heard, take up your cross, and thought that it was anything other than a call to total abandonment of one's life. They wouldn't have thought anything else. The cross wasn't just a cultural Christian symbol for them. It wasn't just jewelry. It was the most brutal execution device that was ever invented and has ever been invented. Most painful. Designed to be total humiliation, the entire process, from beating to walking through the streets, being cursed and shamed and held up before everyone, to make someone less than human. There's no denying that Jesus' path to true life requires sacrifice. My first point, Jesus' path to true life is humility and service. My second point is that, I just said it, Jesus' path to true life requires sacrifice. Now you might be asking yourself, is it our goal as Christians to actually give our life for our faith? Like, should we be aiming for that? And my answer is actually yes. Yes. And if this means actually dying physically, then so be it. But until we leave this world, we must live as though we are dead. Because the only Christian lifestyle is a self-sacrificial lifestyle, a laid-down lifestyle, a humble servant lifestyle, a cross-shaped lifestyle. Jesus wasn't just a great example. He was the way. He is the way. He is the truth. He is the life. He is the narrow road. He is the curtain that was torn. It says in Hebrews chapter 10, his body was torn. That was the curtain. He is the way into the presence and life of God. He's the path. Entrance into Jesus is entrance into true life. If you've been a Christian for a while, you might be like, yeah, I've done that. I died. I picked up my cross. I died to self. I'm done. I'm good. I went all in. I did it. Maybe when I was a teenager, maybe when I was a little kid, maybe only a year ago, I did it. Sorted. Tick, tick. But what about yesterday? What about tomorrow? How's your dying going? Whew. How's my dying going? The same command from Jesus quoted in Luke says this, "And he said to all, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me." The cross is not something you accepted years ago. The cross is not just something that you did when you first became a believer. The cross is a present reality that we have to carry with us every day. Jesus goes on to say, "For whoever would save his life will lose it. But whoever loses his life for my sake will find it." We all want life, right? We all want life. We all want to live the good life. Who doesn't want to live the good life? Whatever that is. We all want to live the good life. We've all got different definitions of the good life sometimes. We all want to get to the end and see that there was purpose, that there was meaning, that there was love in our life. No one wants to get to the end and have no one around them, to not be remembered, to not feel like their life mattered, like they did something valuable and purposeful and lasting with it. No one wants that. This is the pathway. If you lose your life for Jesus, the promise is that you will find life. You will find true life. You will find the only life that matters. And if you try to hold on to it, the paradox is that you will lose it. If you try to clutch onto it, if you try to figure it out, if you try to make it happen, if you try to attain, if you try to copy and covet and run after all these things, you're going to be disappointed. This is a kind of life that you can get no other way. It's a kind of life that gives up all of the surface level pleasures and distractions. How many know there's a lot of them? We got some of them in our pocket, right? A whole world of distraction from what truly matters is at our fingertips. But if you give up your life, and hold fast to what truly matters, you will find a deep sense of meaning and fulfillment. And many of you know that. I know you know that. That's why you're here. But I want to encourage you in that. I want to encourage you in the daily aspect of that. You want to find life? I hate to break it to you. It's not found in getting the latest Crocs. Not found in getting a new man bun. That's an old one. I was trying to think of a more modern reference. It's not found in getting an extra TikTok follower. The best life, the only true kind of life, is found in giving it all away. In total abandonment, total self-sacrifice, reckless abandon of the self. That is so countercultural. You won't hear that anywhere else except the church. And if that doesn't gouge your soul, you're a better person than me. And again, you might say, I've done that. I'm all in. I'm a Christian. I'm committed. I'm here. And you know, over time, the rest of life can start to crowd out that space that we once reserved for Jesus. That total abandonment that we first had. Stuff can start to crowd it out. You know, we might start to try and serve Jesus and our spouse. Serve Jesus and our kids. We might try and start to serve Jesus and figure out our job and do a really fantastic job in our workplace. We might try and start to serve Jesus and fulfill all of life's obligations and all the pressures that rush at us, all the expectations that flood our minds and our screens. But Jesus doesn't ask us to find a good balance in life. He never asks for balance. He never asks for juggle to figure it all out. He doesn't ask for that. He wants it all. He wants it all. He wants your whole life. Your whole life. And it's not an excuse to live a life of neglect, to forget about your kids, to forget about your spouse, to do a bad job. You know, that's not the Christian life, all right? Don't hear me wrong. But when you surrender everything, you will find your life. And then loving your spouse becomes an overflow of your love for Jesus. And loving your kids is an overflow of the life that you have because of Jesus. And doing your job is an overflow of the life, the true sense of meaning that you have because you abandon everything to Jesus. All of our life comes through the source of life. And when we've abandoned ourselves to Jesus, we actually get free from the burdens and the obligations that the world and our mind try to put on us. And that's how his yoke is easy. You surrender to Jesus, the old you dies with all its burdens, and the new you lives through the strength of Jesus. If you're exhausted, if you're tired today of trying to figure out life, like I get tired of trying to figure out life. I spend so long on ChatGPT trying to figure out life, guys. And you can ask ChatGPT question after question after question until you're blue in the face. There's no end to it. There's no end to it. If you're exhausted with trying to make life work, die. Give up. Surrender. How can that be? How does this work? How can death be the path to life? John 12:24 says this, "Unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it bears much fruit." I want to tell you today, this is my third and final point. Jesus' path of sacrifice leads to fruitfulness. Jesus' path of sacrifice leads to fruitfulness. Because if you lose your life for his sake, you will find it. if you try and hold on to it, you're going to lose it. You're going to miss it. And that's one of the greatest tragedies of life, to get to the end and feel like there wasn't purpose, that I missed it, that I went after the wrong things. You will be as fruitful in your life as you are willing to die. Your fruitfulness is directly connected to your surrender. But that which dies multiplies. Because how many seeds does it take to grow a tree? Say an apple tree. How many seeds does it take? Just one. But how many seeds does an apple tree produce? Who knows? The lifetime of that tree? Exactly, thousands probably. I don't even know how many seeds is in one apple. That which dies multiplies. That seed has to go into the ground to dry out and to be resurrected. So I want to ask you today, will you sow the seed of your life into the ground? Maybe you stop sowing it. Will you sow it again today? Will you sow it again tomorrow? Will you sow it again unto fruitfulness? Or will you hoard your seed for safer times? Will you hoard your seed until the news isn't scary anymore? Humility, servanthood, and the sacrificial lifestyle are practiced and worked out in friendships, in family, and in community. And our sacrificial life is not just individual, it's communal. And so often we individualize the gospel. But so often the Hebrew mindset, the Jewish mindset, it presumes communal. So we've got to read it that way. The way of life I'm talking about, it's the best kind of life. It's the best. It's just the best. And I feel like I haven't even scratched the surface of it. Actually getting excited even as I'm talking to die again, guys. To surrender again. And I wonder if you join me in sowing your life in again. And yeah, we're talking about serving today, but I'm talking about all of your life. I'm talking about all of your life. Laying your life down to serve one another, it's the most fulfilling thing you can do. Jesus said there's no greater love than this, to give your life for your brothers and sisters. Because it moves you beyond what you can do into what we can do. The sacrificial life. And the sacrificial life moves you beyond what we can do into what only He can do. But we have to do what we can do to get to the end of that so that He can take us beyond what we can do. As we lay down our lives through serving one another, we lead people to true life and will bear much fruit. Should have warned you to put your seatbelt on. You guys look like you got smacked in the face. Love ya. It's going to be okay. So today's Your Move Sunday. It's call to action time, people. You've had your pep talk. Half time's over. If there was ever a time in history for Christians to rise up in faith in our lifetime, I think it's now. I got to tell you, it's now. I don't know any other time in my life where it's like, let's rise up. Come on. The earth is waiting for the sons of God to be revealed. The creation groans in eager expectation for you to come into your destiny. God has great plans to work through your life. Each and every one of you. Great plans. Better plans than you have for yourself are God's plans for your life. He's got plans for your family. He's got plans for you in your workplace. He's got plans for you in your social circle, in your university, in your marriage, in your sports club, in your bike ride to the shops. God's got plans for you every moment of every day. And He's got plans for you in your church, in your community. Jesus invites us again today to take up our cross and walk the path of humility, service, and sacrifice. And His promise on that path is that you will find true life, a fruitful and abundant life. So what's stopping you from taking a step? What's stopping you from taking a step in all of your life? What's your next step? There's a lot of steps you could take. Maybe it's more than one step today that Jesus is calling you to surrender to commit to. Something truly purposeful, something more meaningful than what you've been doing with your time. What's stopping you? Is it time? We all get the same amount of it. Is it capacity? Is it fear? Is it insecurity? Is it complacency? Is it old wounds? Is it church hurt? Now's the time to shake off everything that's held us back. Just shake it off. Just shake it off. Everybody just do this. Come on. Thank you, Lord. Just shake that off. It's time to shake off everything that's held you back and embrace Jesus' example of humility and sacrifice. What's God asking you to do today? What's your next step? There's always one. God's purpose is more than Sunday gatherings, but it's also not less than Sunday gatherings. He wants you to experience true life every day of the week. And this community is a great place to learn to serve. It's a great place to practice, and it's a great place to grow in that sacrificial lifestyle. So the action point that I want to lead you today for this community for today, is to join a serving team. And I know that you have a whole life that God is moving through. And I know that there might be a whole lot of other steps and things that God is calling you to right now. But I think for a lot of us, God's calling us to serve in the church, to lay down our lives in the church first. Because if we can't lay down our lives in the church, we certainly ain't going to do it in our workplace, on the street corner, because that's harder. That's so much harder.